It's Wednesday, February 15th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. We're going to start off the program with our chat with Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority Administrator Tom Kerr. He's going to tell us about his recent meeting with the Homelessness Committee. Then we'll get the latest real estate numbers from Register of Deeds Jack Mead. And finally, we'll learn about some great recreation programs this spring with Assistant Recreation Director John Gleason. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at today's top headlines. Town officials will present plans for a new $6.5 million carbon treatment system at the Mar Wellfield. The proposal comes after the town has been purchasing water from Yarmouth at a rate of about $1.25 million a year. The project would be funded with a bond issue and would be included in the FY18 operating budget. The item will have a first reading during this week's Town Council meeting. A public hearing on the item will be held during the March 2nd Town Council meeting. Town Council meets this Thursday at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. While Sandy Neck survives another round of winter weather, Beach Park manager Nina Coleman says the popular beach experienced only minor erosion from the last two storms. The dunes are mostly intact with the exception of a few areas of erosion. Coleman reopened the off-road vehicle beach yesterday. Cape Cod Commission and Town of Barnstable staff hope to get resident feedback as they work to improve zoning in Hyannis. To do that, several meetings regarding planning in and around Hyannis were scheduled. There is a meeting scheduled this afternoon, Wednesday, February 15th from 4 to 6 at the Barnstable Senior Center. That meeting is open to the public. All are encouraged to attend. Up next, we're going to chat with CCRTA Administrator Tom Kerr. CCRTA Administrator Tom Kerr joined the Homelessness Committee earlier this week. To tell us more about that visit, we have with us, of course, Tom. Thank you so much for joining us today. What was your goal when you went to meet with the Homelessness Committee on Monday night?
Well, I received an invitation from the chairman and the members of the committee to come over and talk about transit issues. So I always enjoy those kinds of opportunities to get out there and talk about specifically some of the things we're thinking about and some of the services we provide. I was, quite impressed with the members. I knew a couple of the members on the committee, and and their commitment and their passion to addressing the issues surrounding the whole issue of homelessness, and they were very concerned about transportation being one of the major problems that homeless folks face in terms of getting to their services, the necessary services, and getting to where they need to go. So as astute as all those folks are and as aware as they all are about issues, I'm always not surprised, but I'm always pleased to be able to talk in a little more detail about how our services work and what we do and who we carry on our buses, and I received a bunch of good questions, a lot of good questions from all of the members. They were all engaged in the discussion, and Town Manager Mark Ells was there, and Mark provided some input. He's a member of our advisory committee too, so he is very active with us in terms of looking out for Barnstable's interest in transportation. So it was really it was just an opportunity for us to talk about the specific services we have, the number of people we carry, in Barnstable, and I'm following up with sending them over some riders' guides so that they can see specifically as to, what time our buses go to certain spots throughout Barnstable. So it was very enjoyable, and I was very pleased with their interest.
And you're telling me a little bit about the riders' guide. Where can residents find those?
Well, we have them in many, many locations across the Cape, but we also have a website that's very informative and easy to navigate, and that's capecodrta.org, and that tells you anything you really need to know about what we do. But some of the things that we do, like we had 1.4 million trips last year. We had 700,000 on our fixed route service. That's the bus that goes on the hour, all 15 Cape towns. We have a general dial-a-ride service that carried 250,000 people last year. We had 3,000 on our Boston Hospital bus. We have 8,000 trips that went to social services on the Cape, 360,000 human service transportation rides, and I don't think your average person around the Cape really understands that. But this particular committee was interested in the homeless population, and we told them that we have stops at the Angel House Shelter, the Carriage House Shelter, a village in Katomet that for underprivileged folks, and the Noah Shelter, Safe Harbor Shelter, Independence House, Cape Cod Council of Churches, Cape Cod Shelter and Domestic Violence. We already have stops at those facilities, and they were pleased to hear that. And I think they're going to follow up based on what they learned from us, me, and we'll have subsequent discussions about how we can improve transportation for their population as well.
It sounds to me, though, that the CCRTA has already thought about this population, and sounds like you already have some routes that are available for these individuals.
Yeah, we do, Sarah. That's what's always good when we have an opportunity to get out and speak to people, and that's why I was very pleased to receive this invitation. Every time we go out 3 to 4 times a week to various constituencies, and all the time the people are very caring and concerned about certain populations, and I think when they learn about what we already provide, they're pleased, and we like to build on that. And one thing that we've tried to do in the last 2 years is we've created this new travel training program where, Paula George, who's been our Human Service Transportation Director for years, is now going out to various organizations, and not just one-on-ones, but to have talking to groups about what aspect of our service is best fitted for individuals. We have folks going out into all of the schools around the Cape, trying to educate the young students how to use our service. We have a student pass, which reduces the cost of fares, and some of the kids in the summer can use our buses. And so we're really on a campaign sort of to really educate the 230,000 year-round residents about the robust public transportation system that already exists. And it's the group like, last night's homeless committee that are ahead of the curve by trying to find out how we can provide additional assistance.
And also spread the word on available services. Well, thank you for joining us today, Tom. We really appreciate it. Always a pleasure to chat with you, and look forward to chatting with you again next month.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Nice to talk to you as well.
You as well. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, of course, CCRTA Administrator Tom Kerr. January was another great month for real estate in Barnstable County. We get details with Register of Deeds, Jack Mead. And another stellar month for real estate in Barnstable County. Joining me now to chat about that is Register of Deeds Jack Mead. Jack, when we talked last month, we said December was a great month, really stellar numbers. You warned me that January and February might not be that strong, but we're still seeing increases.
Well, we're increasing over what we did a year ago, which is you're absolutely correct. January numbers as real numbers are lower than December's, but they're better than they're good numbers for January. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, January's not the. I would think that January would not be the best month for real estate sales. It's right after Christmas. It's freezing cold outside. Who's thinking about moving, right?
Yeah, I agreed. And I mean, historically, people aren't looking, to buy homes during the holiday season. From November through the end of the year, they tend not to be house hunting at that point. So the sales are slower, but we'll see them pick up, as the year goes on. But we were quite pleased with what we saw for January this year. We were up over 17% from a year ago in terms of the volume, and we had a decent January a year ago. So
that's what I remember you telling me. You expected this month to be a little bit slower just because there were such great numbers January of 2016. So to see these numbers again in 2017, that's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. I was pleasantly surprised at the rate of increase that we had because, as you said, it was we had a strong start to the year last year. I guess it was a strong. If you look back to 2015, and we were really slow, and I think we built off of that, and so it was a nice start. This January is a little different from last in terms of last January. I think we saw a lot of activity, but it was in the lower end of the market. This year we seem to have seen a mixed level of activity, high and low, and as a result, our median price is significantly higher than it was a year ago at the time.
Wow, that's got to be a good sign for the real estate market, especially seeing some of these good numbers, this growth happening on a consistent basis.
Well, we've had a nice strong finish. Last 6 to 8 months have been very good for us, and moving in the right direction. We had a lot of years of moving in the wrong direction, so it's nice to see things really moving along nicely, and with any luck it'll continue. Again, everyone's crystal ball is pretty cloudy when it comes to trying to forecast the future here, but
we don't know what's going to happen with mortgage rates and all of that stuff, which can, as we know, affect the market. I want to ask you a question. I do see here that foreclosures are we still have a number of foreclosures, 26, I think, in the month of January for 2017.
Yep.
Is that a concern for you still?
It remains a concern, and that's it's a caveat that we put that number in there to give people an idea that it's not all as well. We have people on the wrong end of the markets in terms of their foreclosures, the story, and it's hard to tell what. I try to analyze, look back, and see some of these foreclosures and what's they appear to be a lot of mortgages that were taken out, say, in 06 and 07, right at the peak of the market, 10 years ago or so. And I think looking, and again, I didn't analyze every one of them, but looking at them, they seem to be ones where people might have been in trouble for a while. So, it's unfortunate, but I think, this is not a surprise. I mean, a lot of folks who took mortgages out when, we had the real high values back in the middle of the aughts, so to speak, 05, 06, home prices were at their highest value, and we're just getting sort of close to that value now. So if they were trying to carry a mortgage that they took out, maybe a big mortgage they took out then, right. that would be tough to hold on to if things have not gone well.
And then of course, as we know, tough to sell too, because if they owe more than the home is worth, that's a really tough situation that many people find themselves in with the decrease in home values.
It's tough, and it's unfortunate in those cases, and we have seen. We saw sort of a state-imposed moratorium effectively for about a year or so a while back, and now we're sort of seeing, I think, in the last year or two, we've seen those mortgages sort of unfortunately come to foreclosure end, and I think there's been, sort of for a long time there was a lot of turmoil in the foreclosure law area that was holding up some of these foreclosures as well, and I think we're starting to see that. We've been seeing that over the last year and a half or so. I hate to say it, call it a cleanup, but basically people finalizing these foreclosures, these properties that have been in trouble for a while.
Right.
I haven't seen any recent ones that deal with recent sales, which is nice. But
that is interesting.
It's and again, I'm sort of taking scattershot. I mean, I can't look at every one of them, but I'm trying to do some back history on a few of them just to see if I can pick up any trends. And it does. And what I did find for looking at January's was that they were predominantly all mortgages that were taken out during that period. So.
Now, is that in that period? Would that still have been a period in time where maybe mortgage companies didn't have as strict of regulations as you don't need as big a down payment, and you can get you can pay no interest for a little while, and sometimes I think those mortgages a lot of people found themselves in trouble with.
Yes, the Wile E. Coyote realized he had run off the edge of the cliff, probably in late 08. So that's when everything went to heck, as they say.
Yes.
And so, I mean, up through that point in time, I think it was still It was still a go market more in the mortgage end of things.
But great news, though, even though that we're dealing with still some of these ramifications from that period of time, still good to see that slowly but surely the real estate market is bouncing back, and hopefully we'll start to see those foreclosures fall as well.
Yes, I mean, one of the things we've been in the last year or so, in a couple of years, have been we started to see some firming up of the market, and notwithstanding the foreclosure activity, which is down significantly from its high point. I do want to point that out. These are numbers that we don't like to see. I mean, but they're nowhere near what we were looking at in 08, 09, 10. Those numbers we were talking, twice, 3 times what we were looking at. What we're looking at now. So the numbers are way down from that point. But what we've been able to see with a few years under our belt of recovery in the market is that everyone from appraisers to everyone in buyers and sellers can get a better sense of the market. What the values are of these properties. For a long time, we were just seeing so few sales, and a lot of them were distressed sales, et cetera, that it was hard to get a good fix on what the value was. So everyone sort of reacting to sort of the the exuberance of the market pre-foreclosure, doom times back in 08. We're very cautious, and I think now we're starting to see a little more comfort in that. Yes, okay, that house, we can value that house at $400,000, and we know we could sell it for $400,000.
Right, that's a real value there.
Yeah, exactly. It's because we haven't gone crazy. It hasn't been. It's been a nice, steady. I wouldn't say nice, but it's been a steady.
Right, home values haven't shot
slow
up. Right,
uptick in the market. So you've had some. There seems to be some firmament, in the numbers, as opposed to sort of a 20% upticks all over the place, and that's what we were experiencing in the before market, where every year values were going up 20%. That's just not what real estate does. If it's going to be, if you're not going to be paying the piper later on, and so hopefully this is a stronger, more stable growth. But again, markets are markets, and you never know.
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks for joining us today and telling us all about the real estate numbers in Barnstable County. We really appreciate it, and look forward to chatting with you again next month.
All righty, you too. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yes, you too. Happy Valentine's Day.
Right.
Thanks, Jack.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, of course, Register of Deeds, Jack Mead. It's almost time to sign your kids up for spring activities. We're going to learn more about that with Assistant Recreation Director John Gleason. Assistant Recreation Director John Gleason, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Oh, no problem.
The Recreation Division has some really great programs for kids. They're so affordable. What do we have to look forward to this spring as far as rec activities go?
Well, hot off the presses, we do have our spring brochure heading out to the schools this week, just before school vacation. So right now we have our eye on springtime and getting outdoors, and finishing up this winter with activities in the next couple weeks, but things are gearing up for the spring.
I love getting back outside, and I think the kids do too. What are some of the favorite activities that kids like to sign up for in the spring? Is it flag football or?
Yeah, I mean, so after school, our 4th and 5th graders, they love the flag football after school. That's always a big hit with the boys, and it's occasionally we get a couple girls as well. And for girls, we have a girls' youth lacrosse program after school with Melanie Mimo, and she runs a phenomenal lacrosse program. So if any girls are interested in learning the sport, that would be a great program to get into. We also have some outdoor adventure type classes through Mickey Davies and Andrea Higgins that they go out and go on nature hikes and explore and stuff like that.
That is the greatest. I love the Sandy Neck Junior Ranger program. Is that happening, or is it going to be a different hiking program?
Well, it's, they go on nature hikes, and they go out to Sandy Neck every once in a while. They go to Craigville Beach, or they just go around and just check out different locations. So our Sandy Neck Junior Ranger program usually typically in the summertime, but this is just kind of an offshoot of that because the demand is very high in the summertime for those sort of programs. So it's kind of just a small little offshoot of that, where they check out nature and the beaches and stuff like that.
So many great areas here too to check out. What a cool experience for kids to get. And Andrea has such a great knowledge of our ecosystem here on Cape Cod. So you can learn so much from her.
Yeah, she's very knowledgeable, and all the kids really enjoy the time with her. And it's just a great program we've added the past couple of years, with her being able to help us out. But yeah, we're just looking forward to getting out of the gym
Yes.
all the time and getting some fresh air. Once the snow melts and stuff like that. But
Getting some vitamin D, which is so important.
Yes.
And exercise is really important too. There are so many different programs. I think one thing I love about the recreation programs is that they're so low pressure. If you don't have experience in a sport, this is your chance to try it out, especially before you get into high school and start moving on to more organized sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about exercise. We do have a great program on Saturdays, a running program that allows the kids from 1st grade to 7th grade get involved with the running program. And we start with very basic stuff and just get them to move and learn how to stretch and just get some good exercise outdoors with some good coaches. And we try to prepare them for a 5K race. Some of the older kids can do that, and then some of the younger kids, we have them do smaller things so they feel that sense of accomplishment, and there's no pressure other than just trying to do your best every time you get out there. They're not worrying about the other kid in front of them. They're just worrying about how each week they can get better themselves.
Yeah, so cool and so important for kids. Are you still going to have some of the great programs? I know many times in the past you've had some science programs that are held after school. Are those just a winter activity, or will those also happen during the spring?
No, I believe we do have some science type classes after school for the 4th and 5th graders. After school, usually we have those on Mondays, so you could look forward to that in the brochure. And
of course, babysitting is the standard too.
Yeah, we
Everyone
usually have
loves
babysitting on Tuesdays at the middle school, and with the middle school as well, we have our spring sports class for the boys. Where typically they like to do a variety of different things, so we don't just have our heart set on like flag football all the time. We do kickball, wiffle ball, dodgeball games, all sorts of things. So if they get bored of one activity, we can jump to the next one, in a heartbeat.
That sounds like something my son would really love. He loves gym class. It is his favorite thing all week when he gets to go to gym. It sounds a lot like a gym class.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the kids these days don't get enough, PE class time at school. So basically, for the middle school kids, it's basically like an extra PE class where we offer them a set idea of what we can do, and then they can come up with other ideas. So I can bring in other equipment, and we can kind of play any game they want to play. If they do it in gym class, we can do that as well. And it's just a great experience for those kids just to get some more exercise throughout the day.
And work with a team, work with a coach, get that experience too. So lots of great opportunities. When do we have to sign up?
So sign-ups is February 28th. It's a Tuesday, 8:30 in the morning. You can sign up online if you have your username and password. So just make sure that everything is up to date. Or you could go in person, 8:30 at the HYCC, and we'll be ready to take your registrations on Tuesday the 28th.
And that's such a good tip too, to remind everyone to make sure everything's up to date, because as we know, the system doesn't necessarily increase your child's age or grade level.
Yes, we have to
do that manually.
We have to manually do that, and I believe we are going to start doing that automatically starting after spring registration. I believe we're going to bump everyone's grade up for the leisure program registration. So once people are ready for leisure program, because that's going into the following year. So when you register now, you're registering for what grade you're in now. But for the summer leisure program, you're registering for what grade you're going into. So after spring registration, we are going to automatically increase everyone's grade level. We're going to do that for everybody. And we're hoping that that's going to be a success where it kind of alleviates some of the phone calls or emails into our office with, you need to update my child's grade and stuff like that. So we're hoping that it works.
Some panicked parents worried about getting in that program that maybe didn't know to update their child's age.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of
a little stress.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of did that. I mean, unfortunately, we were kind of punishing the masses for the few people that would manipulate their child's grade to get into certain programs in the summertime. For example, like a sailing program where everyone wanted to get into sailing, but they weren't a certain age or grade yet. So sometimes, people would manipulate their child's grade level to get into that program. So we kind of put that in place, but we were penalizing the masses for the few people that would do that. So we're going to flip the script here, and hopefully that really helps things out for people.
Yeah, so thank you so much for talking about everything that has to do with recreation activities. Can't wait to check out the book. It'll be in your child's backpack this week, so take a look for it. Of course, our guest today, Assistant Recreation Director John Gleason. Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Cape Cod Academy students will raise money for Duffy Health Center with the 10th annual Shelter from the Storm concert. The concert will feature performances by musical acts from multiple local high schools, the Cape Cod Conservatory, and dance acts from local dance studios. The concert will be held Friday, February 17th at 7 in the Tilden Arts Center at Cape Cod Community College. Tickets are just $10 for adults and $5 for students. You can learn more about the heroes of the Underground Railroad at the Cotuit Library next week. A talented group of actors from Bright Star Touring Theater will bring history to life during the free event. The program is scheduled for Tuesday, February 21st at 2. Call the Cotuit Library to sign up. Now here's a rundown of this week's board, committee, and commission meetings. Well, thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show. We'll chat with Town Manager Mark Ells. We'll talk with Town Council President Eric Steinhauber to find out what's on Town Council's agenda and so much more. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.